lot of us, we've seen each other up the road at the different conventions and so forth, and it's really a pleasure to be with you, to be here. Now, I thank God every day. I wake up, and I've truly been blessed in my life in many ways. As I think back, it started out probably tobacco to help make ends meet in the family. And to go on to have an opportunity to serve my country. We're talking about the Army or the Navy and the Marine Corps. I served in the United States Air Force. We got some Air Force Navy here. Retired. But I served our country, and I was proud to do so. And I also had an opportunity to come back to North Carolina. That was no greater joy in the world to come back to North Carolina and then have the opportunity of serving my hometown as mayor for over 7 years. And we did some really good things. Worked on increasing our infrastructure, our roads, brought forth upgrades, tremendous upgrades, water and sewer, extended our housing. There's a lot of good things. And then to go on and have the opportunity of representing part of you, part of this district, in the North Carolina Senate. It's been no greater honor, and I must admit, for those who are in my district that can vote for me, thank you so much, by the way. You sent me to Raleigh going, this is the worst time in over 50 years. Well, guess what? Tough times mean tough leadership. Never shied away from the tough decisions. And as we come together today, I must admit that I am extremely concerned because in all my years in politics, I've just not seen an environment and attitudes as they are today. There's some that think that it's perfectly okay. And I consider this the voice of the extreme. That it's perfectly okay to spit, shoot windows, throw bricks, shout out, anything entertaining. I think that's wrong. Absolutely wrong. We've gotten to the point that we totally disrespect the process of governing. In other words, when we talk about governing, we're talking about coming together to represent the people. And when we see the process take its course now, as it is, it's the people lose. The people lose to self-interest and special interest. Now, I must admit, there's the extreme, and then there's Sarah Palin. Now, Sarah Palin, during the most difficult time since World War II in our economy, would rather come to try to convince you that somebody's going to show up to your home and take your guns. But then ask, where's her plan on getting good, hard workers back to work? Where's her plan on making sure our kids get the best education possible?
Talk louder, Don. You got yourself
Yeah, we're finding out there.
Let's talk loud.
Where's her plan on making sure our kids get the best education possible? I mean, it was only George Bush that said no child left behind, and look at all these kids that have been left behind. And when we talk about jobs, what's just really puzzling and striking to me, she's now become the voice of the Tea Party, the face of the voice. Kicks off the campaign heading to D.C., heading for tax day, meets up in Nevada, and says, hear me, says, Reed, hello, Obama, you're fired. That's what she said. Y'all remember that? I'm still trying to figure out how can you fire someone if you never made it past the interview yourself? This is what we're dealing with. And I'm extremely concerned because when honest, everyday, ordinary people begin to hear and see all this, just think about those who had never voted in their life and went and registered to vote last time around because they saw something that they believed in. And all of a sudden now they see all this taking place. why our top concern right now must be turnout. We have to work to get everyone back out there this go around. By the way, we don't have a short-term memory. We have a long-term memory. And we remember where all this has come from. And just think about it and look at the history of our country. Certain people and parties have a tendency of taking us into wars that are costly, and others have a history of bringing us out of wars, striving for more peace. And I'm not saying that all wars are horrible. There's some that are worth fighting. I'm reminded of the wisdom of my grandmother, my great-grandmother. And she said, you know, some battles are just not worth getting into. We're here. So now we go in to clean it up. And we start cleaning it up. And in North Carolina, it was difficult. We were dealing with a $4.6 billion hole in the budget. Now, this is not inefficiencies of government. That's what some would want to convince you. Oh, you know, it's just broken down. DOT workers are standing in clusters on the side of the road. Okay, if you have $4.6 billion worth of DOT workers standing in clusters, then something's going on. And we would have fixed that a long time ago. The relativity was, we knew we were running last time, running to make a change, to make a difference, and turn our economy around. We don't need to forget that. We do not need to forget that. And we've gone in to work hard, and one of the biggest things we've done in North Carolina is to guard against massive unemployment. 2,000 jobs that we've lost in the state, 1,300 vacant positions, 700 are actually filled. I don't want to see anyone lose their job. Those tough times. Fought to make sure our kids were able to get a good education, and that we did not touch the per pupil spending, those dollars going directly into the classroom. These are tough decisions that we made last time. And I stand before you today because there are a lot of tough decisions that I would like to continue to make for you and for our great state. Now I'll share this with you. We can't take anything for granted. When I was preparing to file, I said, I can't take anything for granted. So I got in bed that night and I leaned over to my wife and I said, honey, we're having an election, you know, it's about time for filing. What are your thoughts? I mean, can I count on you for your support? And she looked back at me and she said, yes, you can. You have my support. You have my vote. I thought it was over. Then she looked back and she said, well, by the way, I'm just curious. She said, what would you have done if I said no? And I was stumped the politician, okay? But I told her I would listen to her. But interesting, a few days go by, and she came back. And I hope you think I'm looking halfway decent today, because I came back and she wrapped me and gave me a kiss. And she said, I have something for you. It was a box. She had this nice tie with the Democratic symbol on it. And she said, you go, baby, you go. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I know I have one vote. But let me say to you, we can't take this for granted. We can't take it for lightly. We need to ask everybody in our households, down the street, in our churches, in our classrooms, if we're wherever we're working. We need to ask them to come out and vote. The biggest way you can get someone to turn out is by asking them. Think about that, whether it's voting or any other thing. If you take the time and ask, that's what we have to do this time around. I'm asking you today, let's work harder than we ever done, harder than we can imagine to overturn history. Because history is not on our side in the midterm elections here. But we can overturn this history. Are you fired up and ready to go? Yeah. Are you fired up and ready to go?